Now that's different from the grease from the kitchen. You have folks actually want to do that. They want to get the grease because they make diesel fuel or fuels out of it, believe it or not. They use it, they recycle it too. We went over the dishwashers. Everybody good on that? Okay. Talk about the D-line cycle. I think that's pretty important, especially if you run it so seldom it just sits there and dries, and the heat that builds up for sanitizer. The church already has an account with Athens Janitor's Supply Company, and that's who came and put the chemicals. They already have that account, but they can supply other products, paper products, anything. You know, if you don't use those machines a lot, you probably have 5 gallon that's could be 5 years. You know, depends how much you use for the dishwashers. But they, like I said, they can provide other stuff, and that's they're willing to do that. We mentioned about the trays for the serving line here. They're on the shelf in the pantry. And the pantry is something else needs to be locked, or who needs the keys. I'm going to hand them to Order Prestige, and they can copy whoever they want to copy, whoever's going to use it. I just want to make sure we handle that to a point, because you got a mixer in there too. You can pull out on a tray. It's got wheels. The warming cabinet that we moved around, it was supposed to be here. That's where it's supposed to sit, because that's, you know, you bring food in and out of the kitchen. But it could be stored in the pantry as well. You know, it's just as needed and when you want to use it. We want to talk about the floors. I'm sure everybody knows that we have to say that because a lot of folks do not realize, like, we get visitors to come through the building and they walk through the hallway and they think it's real top, believe it or not. Right there in this hallway. They look at it and they think it's real top. The problem with that is, if you think it is, you spill water or drink, you don't pick it up or don't clean it right away, it's going to seep in and it's going to make damage, because that's a laminate. It's commercial laminate, but it's not made to pour water on it or spills that leave them. It's okay if you spill, just wipe it off, get it off the floor, especially the laminate. You know, we're not having concern as much with tile, just like right here in the kitchen. You can pour water, clean, whatever you need to do there, it's not a problem. That's made to do that. That's the reason for the, you know, tile all the way around the edge, 6-inch tile. And that's required by the health department, by the way. We do have a shelf that goes on top of the stove or the cooktop. It's in the pantry as well on the shelf. It's a stainless that fits right on top. Sometimes you want to use it, sometimes you don't. If you have big pots and you want to try to reach on that second burner, that shelf is in the way. You can't, you know, stir the pot or cook well in it with the shelf. You can slide it over if you want to, or not use it at all. But it's available. You can just set it back on there. It just fits right on top. So the laminate floor, that's what we talked about. Everywhere else besides this area, and what we have in the bathrooms and the kitchen, you know, if there's a spill, we had already one spill happen in the hallway we had to clean out. Somebody just left some water, liquid on the floor, you know, just went through at the bottom, expanded the laminate. You have to come back and adjust it, cut it, trim it, and set it back down and flatten it. So we already had to do that once. So if it does, you know, if we have a spill, just pick it up, or after an event, somebody needs to be able to go through and check. Okay? The fridges and freezers, especially the big ones we have, the commercial size in the kitchen, we have some under counter, we have some, obviously, they're full size. Those have obviously condensing units, coils. They need to be vacuumed once a year or cleaned around the condenser. They build up a lot of debris, dust, and if you don't do that, you know, eventually you'll just damage the motor. Yeah, I mean, we have them under warranty for a year or two, whatever the warranty is, but after that, you know, it's ours. If there's a damage, you know, we'll have to deal with it. But those could be, you know, rolled out. A lot of the equipment could be rolled out and cleaned, vacuumed, put back. So that helps maintain them. I just put Mars 64's number on here, on that sheet. I'll be glad to make more if we need, whoever is not getting one, we can do that. She's with Manning Brothers, our rep for the equipment. And also Danny, the only thing is, that's the number she gave me by email. That's his actual fax fax number. I will email, or I can give you that number if you got a pen. Instead of, this is for Danny Graham, 404-872, all that is correct. The last one, 4 digits will be 8135. Instead of, let's see what I got, 0472. So again, it'll be 8135. He does have a cell number, 404-797-1434. And I will turn this in. I will turn this in also with the paperwork. Now, he's the record equipment showing us how to do it. There's a problem with something that's not working right. We're going to go through warranty because that's where we purchased the equipment from, Manning Brothers. Any questions?
Will this be posted in the kitchen or laminated or something with all this information?
This here, what I would think, we can do that. The main thing is we can't tell people just go and read that and you're good. We want you guys or a group to meet with whoever else is going to use the kitchen. So we don't want to say, well, just look at these because mine not cover everything. It doesn't have anything with the equipment, how it lights it up, and you clean it. We can go over that. That's what Danny went over.
And my understanding is before the kitchen's ever used, like for next week, for the Wednesday night, the pilot, 2 weeks, the pilot lights will all be turned on.
Yes.
All of that will be taken care of, except for the deep fryer.
Right. I don't see.
And the deep fryer, if anybody uses it, and we have to put, if somebody can clean that before it's used. I mean, I guess we'll talk about that. We'll talk about it.
Huh?
It'll be boiled out. It's going to be hard to boil out. But if you use oil and you have a container kit with it, unless it's plastic and you can't put hot stuff in it, we have to get a stainless or something metal to hold the hot oil. You want to empty it, turn the pilot light off. Well, you could forget that. Some people might forget to turn the light on, the pilot light off, and you end up burning this pan because it doesn't have any oil or liquid in it. So we got to be careful with the fryer. I think that's a big concern. But Miss Judy, if the lights, all the lights are on, you don't have a problem doing anything with them unless we shut the system down again. You turn the gas off, everything's off. You got to relight the pilot light. But my understanding is that will be done before anybody starts cooking.
Hey,
yes,
and Barbara, you correct me for that. Barbara's a trustee, and really more than just a trustee, she's one of the leaders of the trustees of the church. She was, I was at the last meeting, and they talked about other groups, and you might be outside groups that want to use the kitchen. And that discussion was that then we're going to require someone from this church who's been trained to be there from the beginning to the end. Not just, the middle, but from the beginning to the end. And then, in fact, might have to be a fee paid, just like for a wedding or something, outside groups use it. So be assured your presence here today is very important. And it's really important we have your name. You're going to be on a list of people who've been trained, and we'll get those books printed up too with all the appliances. And issues like about the oil and those issues will be addressed, for sure. Barbara, have I overstated things?
No, that's fine. I do have a question though. Now, in the youth area, is there a kitchen, like any kind of little kitchen area?
Yeah, there's a dishwasher.
Just a dishwasher and a fridge and a sink. There's just regular residential dishwasher. Not going to really complicate anything.
I was just thinking that the youth buildings, we need to impress on them that they're not going to use the kitchen if there's a place that they can use other than that. So apparently
They don't have cooking facilities.
Yeah, they don't cook. They can't. There's microwave.
And that's something that I think somebody had suggested that they would cook their own meals on Sunday night. So that may be something that the board of trustees wants to entertain, because that was a suggestion from one of the parents.
Based on the trustees' discussion, the parent, there has to be a trained person in the room, in the kitchen. I don't care if it's a youth group, I don't care if it's the whole senior citizen group, whoever it is. They were saying we've got to have somebody trained in there from the beginning to the end. We'll stay there and make sure that was discussed, I think.
Just a quick question, y'all. What all is the old kitchen going to be used for now? This one, are we doing coffee over there? That's
service begins, you do know at the end of August, the awakening at 9:45 will not begin. This August, the last Sunday in August, is the last Sunday it will meet. Then later in September, maybe the 3rd or 4th Sunday, a new service will begin over here. There'll be a few weeks. And this area they're talking about becoming the coffee service area for the church, not just for the service, the fellowship spot, right in here, instead of over there. And I have heard people say that that stove is dangerous over there, and we shouldn't be using it. And it, you know where that stuff came from, don't you?
In school.
Came from the school, a Coleman Ferry when it was middle school, and it's older than I am, folks. We bought it used. So I would think eventually that kitchen would be downsized very much so. But not cooking space, I assume. You'll correct me, I'm just telling you what I've heard. I'm not in charge.
Mindy?
Hey,
Yes, ma'am.
do you need to cut gas on that stove?
Well, when
What
you
are
stop, you move, start using this kitchen in here, and we're not using the stove over there, we will have to cut it off, yes. We cannot keep it on.
So, are you talking about August the 23rd?
I'm sorry?
Are you talking about August?
If it's August when we start cooking here, then you're not cooking over there when you turn that off.
We wouldn't put a smaller gas stove in there?
Oh, you could
But it
replace it.
has to be different than that. You see what I mean? The one that's
So
in now.
you can't get that one out until the whole kitchen is destroyed.
You mean physically we cannot remove it, we cannot make it, unless you cut it up, yes.
But you have to take it apart.
Yeah, exactly.
But regardless, before you do any of that, we'll have to turn the gas tank off of that line.
Mindy, does that cause you a concern with first counts? Everybody knows some of the challenges she faces.
It'll be all right.
One option, I think Doug mentioned, that could be a different kind of stove, smaller stove. You be thinking about it and
Well,
talking
no, I
to
mean, I had planned on that financially until this summer.
Yeah.
Prepared to put a stacking of it in there.
Okay,
However, financially now I cannot.
I understand.
So, but if we can come up here and cook. That's not, I can come up here and cook. That's not an issue.
Right. And if we decide to put another oven in there, a smaller, then the children can do their cooking Sunday school over there too, and not use this. So there's a lot of reasons we might want to put another smaller, less explosive oven.
Now you need to,
And we can share the cost.
Can I share
I
something?
need a
Mindy?
double stacking oven. I can't, it's not going to be enough just to have one.
Right.
Mindy said she can't afford to do it now. I think you need to know what she means by that.
It's okay.
Well, no, I know it's okay, but it's I was the one who voted to do it. I think it was okay. So you will know, first count and Wednesday night supper, there was cash and there was accounts that in June the finance committee took $5,000 cash that belongs to the church, and we applied it to the general budget. Otherwise, we would not have been able to make all the payments we had to make. Do you hear what I'm telling you? Now, that doesn't mean that there was a lot of profit in any of those accounts. It was money that was accrued, and that so many could have used that money. I assume that's what she's talking about. So we still face that challenge. But so you'll understand. To help the church on its cash flow for general operations, the $5,000 makes all the difference in the world. Correct me, everybody, if I'm wrong.
Well, I can accrue enough money over Christmas to do that, but it would need to be a double stacking oven.
Well, and what I'm saying is the children's going to help with the cost too, because we would use
All right,
it.
but anyway, I just need to know, because
Let me
that's
just-
fine, I'm sorry, that's fine.
No, that's okay. Let me tell you something. I know we're throwing a lot of safety items out there, okay? This kitchen is perfectly fine. But you gotta get that fan turned on, and you gotta know what you're doing. It's perfectly fine. I mean, if you go to restaurants, there are a lot more hazardous, commercial restaurants than what we've got. By all means, it's built to be used and enjoyed, and that's what we built it for. So you don't need to be scared to use it. You don't need to worry. You just need to know, hey, I'm confident enough. I know what to do. I've been trained. I can walk in. If I'm going to cook, flip that vent on, and I know what to do with the cooking. The pilot lights will be on. If you have to clean something, that's normal. So it's not The reason we do that is if you don't, and somebody walks in and start cooking, then flip that vent hood on, but that fan start pulling the heat through, it builds heat under that hood, and it's got to discharge. And, you know, it makes a mess. People are going to be embarrassed, you know, something happened, and we don't want that to happen, you know. So I just want to make sure, you know, we're not trying to scare people not to use it. We want folks to use it, but to use it safely and not what to do.
The very first big meal here will be served a week from this coming Tuesday. It'll be the first one. It'll be the pastor's district meeting for the Athens district, and the ladies of the church, primarily led by Laura Bryant Circle, I understand, are providing the meal. So certainly before next week, some of us can get the gas on and light the pilots and make all that working for you. Dave, is that reasonable? We can do that. I mean, it's not going to be that big a deal.
Probably Monday or Tuesday we'll have all the paperwork, you know, the folders and turn them in to the trustees, so copies can be made, placed, you know, in the building with each equipment. A lot of it's still here we have to take them because we didn't know if the demonstration was going to need, he's going to need the manual or not, so we kept some of them here. But any other questions? Andy?
David said the other day, a couple of ladies were in the kitchen. They were saying that they were told not to prep any meat on these particular tables here. And
Okay.
I'm going, we got 1, 2, 3 prep areas in there, right?
Well, let me go over that.
Okay.
Everybody has a way of cooking, but you know you can't mix meats and vegetables. Everybody knows that, okay? If you look in the kitchen and you walk in directly like this, the side on away from the heat is the vegetable prep sink, okay? The one on the opposite of it, there's another sink, that's the meat prep. That's closer to the cooking. Then you have, if food is ready or other stuff need to be done, you have a lot of counter space on the right. You also have counter space in between the cooking area and as you walk in, big wide where the shelf is or the rack, or the pot rack. So the main thing is, if you're doing meat, stick to the meat counter. Because the next person walks up and uses the kitchen and you're gone, did not know, if for some reason that meat did not get cleaned up on that counter, you don't end up putting vegetables on top of contaminated food. So you always know the meat counter is the one, when you walk in on the right side with the, that's the vegetable. Let me reverse. When you walk in, the one with the disposal is the vegetable. Okay? Opposite of it, closer to the cooking side, is the meat prep area. Okay? Everybody clear? Didn't mean confusing. So once everybody knows that, you're okay. As long as the meat stays in that area, it's not spread everywhere, prepared everywhere, then you're going to be okay.
Right. The long side against the wall is just for
Well, you can do vegetables, you can have fruits, you can have ready-to-go food trays, you know, just like the big middle one. The middle one, you know, the 4-foot line under the rack, you know, stuff got cooked, transferred over there, that's ready to go. As long as you keep the raw meats in that area and the vegetables could go, you know, different areas, but that meat prep area has to stay where it is.
All right, what about the stainless cleaning policy?
That's up to the kitchen committee, but I mean, I would presume anybody that uses the kitchen should clean after themselves. That's a group or person. I'm not here to make policies how you can maintain it, but obviously if you make a mess, it's the group that cooks and it needs to clean. They can't just cook and make a mess and walk out. I mean, that's at least my policy. I'm not making a policy with the church.
That's my policy.
But that's,
That policy, that policy.
and like I said, I'm not here to set policies on how you use the kitchen and cook and clean, because that's up to the kitchen committee to go over that. And today's training was more of a safety and how you use that equipment. But, you know, anybody that uses the kitchen, makes a mess, should clean after themselves. So we don't have mess after mess after mess. Well, that's not mine. I'm not a cleaner. I'm going to cook over here, you know. It just needs to be looked after.
I think he made a motion. Do I hear a second? All in favor, say aye. He passed.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, Charles was out here for the janitorial supply yesterday, and he dropped off some of the cleaning supplies. we got 3 big sinks. The left-hand sink is the pot and can sink with the,
You're talking about the dishwasher set?
yeah, with the, yeah, that thing. Right. We've got detergent, rinse, and sanitizer in there. And each one of those things takes 1 pump per tub.
Okay, you're not talking about the dishwasher. You're
No,
talking
not
about
the
actual
talking about the
big
big
tubs.
tubs. But the chemicals just take 1 squirt. It doesn't take 3. You know, so.
Let me explain. I'm going to come back to you, Doug. I'm sorry. What he's talking about is saving on cost of the chemicals, the wash your hands or a dish, you didn't run it through the dishwasher. We have the 3 compartment sink right between the dishwashers. A lot of folks don't realize this chemical costs a lot of money and it's very powerful too. So you don't need 3 or 4 pumps to just use what you need. 1 pump of those chemicals would be sufficient to do what you need to do. I think that's what you're talking about. Doug, you have a question? I'm sorry.
This is a little bit off the subject, but I think it might be true. We're going to have somebody that's going to be cleaning this building, and the trustees are looking for like a turnkey company that can come in and clean once a week. So before you all leave, if you know of anybody that we could be interested in getting on the job, if they give me their name, I'd appreciate it.
I got one for you.
I'll see if I have those. Anything else?
Yeah, one other issue. Due to the keys. When we have a key that unlocks the building, if you unlock the door, lock it back, then take the hex key to secure this push bar. That way, whenever someone leaves, all you have to do is take the hex key and lock it. And nobody has to come and insert the key in the outside.
Just like over in the other building.
Where is the hex key?
The hex keys are right in the corner of the door jamb.
Yeah. Is there a hex key in the other building? Not in the fellowship hall, but not in the main front door. No, there isn't.
Not the front doors, but the other door.
I understand.
They don't have
So the key, hex key's there, out the door. Good, thank you.
Each door, we brought magnets.
Yeah.
And we put those hex keys on magnets. We
Good.
didn't want to drill through doors. They're nice doors to put chains. And if they get lost, we can replace them. It's not a problem. But they're on magnets, like this one has it right on top.
Right.
So you can unlock them, when we have a lot of activities, so you're not having to either prop the door open or push the door for someone, or they're having to use the key. So this should be where it's bigger and make it easier for folks to come in and out. Now, we have other stuff that's not kitchen related. That would be fire alarm system, sprinkler system check, elevators check. All those have to be inspected. I'm just letting you know in general, because I have a lot of folks here, which is great for that. Somebody going to be responsible, look after this building committee, whatnot. They have to make sure those inspections are done, and the certificates issued for the elevator, the fire alarm, and the sprinkler system as well. We do have a gentleman that puts fire alarm, proposal to do the monitoring and maintenance, which that is also required by law. Those are required by law, not like the grease trap. Kitchen, elevator, fire sprinkler system, and the fire alarm have to be checked every year and certified before you can continue to use them. Any other questions? Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all being
Mindy, do
here.
you want us to help you or stay out of your way on the 24th?
We do have an extra one. Somebody wants to do
And if it is, and you have email, you will get an email, really like that. There's all the documents online as well. Once we get it,
Let me get you the 636.